The sky tore open with an unnatural hum, a sound that felt wrong, like the earth itself was holding its breath. A fleet of black, angular ships descended, their sleek surfaces reflecting the burning light of a setting sun. In seconds, their weapons unleashed a blinding surge, and the skyline of New York crumbled into dust. Humanity's most advanced defense systems had failed. There was no time left. Captain Mira stood on the command deck, eyes fixed on the horizon, a cold certainty settling in her chest. "This isn't a drill," she muttered, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. The Global Defense Network had been watching for signs, but nothing could have prepared them for this. The invasion wasn't a distant threat anymore, it was here, right above their heads. Beside her, Lieutenant Eric Holt, young and sharp, scanned the control panels with urgency. His fingers flew across the console, pulling up data that only confirmed her worst fears. "They're too fast, Captain. We can't stop them. Not with what we have." The Admiral's voice crackled through the comms, cold and resolute. "Captain, you know what must be done. Activate a SLEAL. It's our only chance." A SLEAL. The hybrid weapon. Unproven. Deadly. Humanity's last hope, and they had no choice but to trust it now. The weight of their survival hung on the next decision. The heavy doors slid open with a hiss, revealing the stark white walls of the underground facility. Captain Mira strode forward, her boots clicking against the cold, sterile floor. The air smelled faintly of antiseptic, the harsh light above casting long shadows across the room. Her fingers tightened around the comms device, already feeling the weight of the command. "Activate a SLEAL." Behind her, Lieutenant Eric Holt kept pace, his expression unreadable. "You sure about this, Captain?" His voice was laced with skepticism, though the urgency in his eyes betrayed his growing doubt. "This thing's never seen real combat. We're trusting humanity's future to a damn prototype." Mira stopped before a sealed chamber. "We don't have a choice, Holt." Her voice was firm, but the uncertainty in her chest gnawed at her. A SLEAL, a hybrid AI fused with human cognitive patterns, could adapt faster than any human soldier. Yet, its unpredictability made it as dangerous as it was promising. The chamber doors groaned open, revealing the sleek, black exosuit that housed the hybrid AI. A SLEAL's systems hummed faintly, its shape both alien and familiar. Mira's hand hovered over the activation panel. The moment she pressed the button, they were no longer in control. "Ready?" Holt asked, voice barely above a whisper. "No," Mira replied, "but we have to be." The countdown began. The chamber lights flickered once, then hummed to life. Mira's breath caught as the exosuit's systems roared to full activation. A SLEAL's glowing core pulse shifted from a soft blue to a vibrant red, signaling its readiness. It was no longer just a weapon, it was a thinking entity. "Get back, Captain," Holt's voice cracked with a mix of fear and awe. The suit began to move, its limbs fluid but unnervingly precise. Its face, or what passed for one, glowed faintly, a mask of human-like expression grafted to its cold, mechanical body. A blend of flesh and machine, its presence was both intimidating and oddly familiar. "Do you understand me?" Mira asked, voice steady despite the unease creeping up her spine. A low, metallic voice echoed from within the suit, sending a shiver through the room. "Affirmative. I am a SLEAL." Mira's heart skipped a beat. She couldn't ignore the instinctive tension in her muscles. "Then let's see what you're made of." Suddenly, the facility's alarms blared, cutting through the tension. The first wave of enemy ships was descending, their silhouettes now visible against the darkened sky. Mira's pulse quickened. This was it. "Move out," she ordered, her voice steely. Holt's eyes locked with hers, filled with unspoken questions. But a SLEAL was already on the move, its first step a ground-shaking stomp. No turning back now. The sky was a battlefield, streaked with fire and the deafening roar of explosions. A SLEAL moved with deadly precision, its massive frame cutting through the chaos. Mira and Holt kept pace, the cacophony of the assault nearly drowning out their voices. Incoming! Holt shouted, pulling Mira to the ground as a plasma bolt whizzed overhead. The enemy ships were relentless, a swarm of shadows blocking out the sun. But Asliel was undeterred, its glowing core pulsing brighter with every strike it delivered. Each movement was like a symphony of destruction, flawless, exacting. Mira's pulse raced. This wasn't a battle they were fighting, it was a war for survival. Yet, as she watched Asliel take down another ship, something gnawed at her. Was this what humanity had become? Was a hybrid, a fusion of human ingenuity and alien technology, really their savior? We're running out of time. Holt snapped, snapping her back to reality. Another wave was coming. The ground beneath their feet trembled, as if even the earth was bracing for the next strike. Mira gave him a sharp nod, her grip tightening around her weapon. Get to the control tower. We need to shut down their main weapon system before it's too late. As they sprinted toward the tower, Asliel's voice crackled through the comms. Mission objective confirmed. Proceeding to termination. The final push was coming, and there would be no retreat. The control tower loomed ahead, its metallic surface scarred by the battle's fury. Mira's heart pounded in her chest, every step feeling heavier as they closed the gap. Behind them, Asliel continued its relentless advance, fending off enemy ships with brutal efficiency. The hybrid was the perfect weapon, a perfect blend of human instinct and alien precision, but Mira couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Captain! Holt's voice snapped her from her thoughts. He pointed toward the towering structure ahead. The main power grid's just beyond those doors. We take that down, and we can cripple their entire assault. Mira nodded, her breath sharp in the cold air. Then let's make it count. They burst into the control room, its sterile walls alive with the hum of alien technology. Screens flickered with incomprehensible data, but one thing was clear, the enemy was not backing down. A massive, floating platform hovered in the center of the room, its core thrumming with energy. Holt's eyes locked onto it. There it is, Captain. The heart of their system. But before they could advance, the doors slammed shut behind them, trapping them inside. Mira's eyes darted to the monitors, which suddenly went dark. A voice, cold and mechanical, echoed in the chamber. You cannot stop us. It was the alien commander. And this was no longer just a fight for survival, it was a battle for humanity's future. The room fell into an eerie silence as Mira's fingers tightened around her weapon. The alien commander's voice rang out again, reverberating off the metallic walls. You fight in vain. Humanity will kneel before us. Mira's pulse surged with adrenaline. The coldness in that voice, too calculated, too final. The words of an invader who believed victory was inevitable. But Mira wasn't about to surrender. Not now. Not ever. Not today, she muttered, eyes locked on the alien platform's core. It pulsed with energy, a dangerous hum filling the room. She could feel the heat radiating from it. If they didn't act fast, it would obliterate everything. We need a distraction, Mira said, her voice calm despite the mounting pressure. Holt, take the left flank. I'll engage the core. Without waiting for confirmation, she sprinted toward the platform, her mind focused solely on the mission. Holt moved to cover her, his movements swift but calculated. Mira reached the console at the base of the platform and began typing furiously, trying to decipher the alien code. The screens flared to life, revealing data she couldn't fully understand. But she recognized one thing, the core was unstable, and it was on the brink of overload. Captain, it's a trap. Holt's voice was sharp, filled with urgency. Mira didn't need to turn to see the threat approaching. An army of alien soldiers flooded the chamber, weapons raised. Asliel's voice crackled in her earpiece. I will engage the enemy. But even with Asliel on their side, it was clear, this was the final showdown. The fate of humanity rested in their hands. Mira's fingers hovered over the command button, the weight of her decision crushing her. If she disabled the core, it might save them. But would it destroy their only chance of defeating the invaders? It was now or never. the alien soldiers closed in from every side, their eerie, mechanical steps echoing in the stillness. Mira's fingers trembled over the control panel, the decision weighing on her like 1,000 tons. The core in front of her was their only hope, and yet, with every passing second, it was becoming more dangerous. Holt's shout broke through her thoughts. "Captain! Move!" Mira glanced to her side. Holt had his weapon raised, firing precision shots to slow the advancing enemy, but there were too many. Too many to fight. Her eyes snapped back to the blinking red console. The countdown had begun. "I need 10 more seconds," she yelled back. The platform's core pulsed violently, its energy swirling dangerously. Mira could feel the hum in her bones, vibrating through the air. Sweat ran down her face as she pressed harder on the panel, each keystroke a desperate plea for salvation. "We can't wait." Holt was shouting, but Mira didn't hear him. In this moment, nothing mattered except stopping the core. Then, the ground rumbled. Asleel's voice blared in her earpiece. "Warning, core energy critical. Immediate action required." Mira knew what she had to do. The consequences could be catastrophic, but there was no other choice. She slammed her hand down on the emergency override button, cutting the core's power. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, everything changed. The core erupted in a blinding light, and the alien soldiers faltered, their systems short-circuiting from the sudden disruption. Mira's heart raced as the glow of the core faded, but she could hear the aliens, their weapons flickering, their movements slowing. "Now, Holt!" Mira shouted. Holt didn't hesitate. He fired one final shot that sent the alien commander to the ground. The battle was turning. But it wasn't over. The aliens might have been stunned, but they would recover. They would fight back. And Mira knew, as she watched the first signs of victory start to unfold, that this was only the beginning. The war for humanity's future had just started.